Hello, I'm happy to be with you this morning. We are still going on with our lesson, and I hope you're copying your notes and doing the assignment that I put on our Google Classroom. Today, I want us to continue with our topic, socio-economic and political development and challenges in Kenya since independence. Our subtopic today, we've done with the political development and challenges. We are done with the economic development and challenges. So today I want to stand on social development and challenges. So in this topic we are going to look at the areas that the government has tried to improve since independence for our social well-being. For example, education, health, social or cultural activities like games and the others. Those are the things that I want to look at this morning. And I hope by the end of this lesson, we'll be able to say that we are done with that topic. Otherwise, welcome. So, social development, I'll start with education. Maybe if you're asked, what do you understand by the term social in history? Remember we said these are the ways of life, how people live. In the beginning, Africa did not have education, but still we were learning through our grandparents, and therefore we used to call that one what kind of education? Today we used to call it the apprenticeship, whereby you learn through seeing and practicing what other people are doing. But today we have the formal education where we go to school. So at independence we say that Kenya was faced with a challenge of illiteracy, where majority of the Kenyans had not acquired the right education. Even those who had acquired education, most of them had not acquired the right education, because we say that the European or the colonial master did not major so much in educating the African, and that's why they were giving them the 3 R's, where you read, you do simple arithmetic, and also you are able to write simple English. And why were they doing that? We say they were doing it in order for people to be able to read the Bible and do simple arithmetic like counting money, like counting the farm produce and the like. Otherwise, they did not aim at giving African higher education, and therefore the government was faced with a big challenge to develop education in our country after independence. So at independence, the government had poor quality education and facilities to suit the African who were segregated by the colonial regime, and therefore how are they going to do it? So the education was seen as a way of developing skills, manpower to replace expatriates in the civil services, commerce and industry. So several commissions were set up in order to give advice to the government on the educational reform. So some of those educational commissions, there were one in 1964, immediately after independence. They formed a commission that was known as Omide Commission. So this Omide Commission, it was given a task to deal with the system of education, to change it so that it can fit the African. Most of the books that used to be read by that time, they were coming from Cambridge, and therefore they wanted to have books that are locally made, that everybody can be able to read and understand them. Apart from that, they were also to change the system in a way that people, they are even trained these social courses or small courses. In 1976, another commission was formed. We call it the Gasadi Commission. Why I like giving them these names is the leader, the chairman of that commission, they used to name them after the leader. So Gasadi Commission was formed in 1976. Then in 1982, another one was formed, which was known as Mackay Commission. And under Mackay Commission, they are the one who brought about the 844 system, the one we are enjoying today. With the Gasadi Commission, they bring the one for 742, whereby you are to do up to class 7, you go to Form 1 to Form 4, then you go from 5 and Form 6, then from there you go to the tertiary or to the universities. Then this commission of Mackay now came in and changed that system, where we have 8 years in primary, 4 years in high school, and 4 years in the university. In 1983, another commission was formed, which we call Kareivi Commission, and this one was now to look on how to integrate the 844 system with some tertiary courses, and that's how they bring in some subject in primary school where they were doing home science, art and craft, music, and the other, in order to give the skills to the young people even before they go to the high school. In 1988, we formed another commission, we call it Kamunge Commission, and this commission really went into details in looking at how the system of the education was being held in the country. And they said the children were overburdened because they were doing 12 subjects. And apart from that, they were given a lot, which most of the subjects they said they were irrelevant in the future, and therefore they came up with a change whereby they want to reduce the subject. That's why you find today the primary sector, they only do 5 subjects. In high school, they give variety, but you have to choose up to how many? Up to 8 maximum, but they have variety. In other school you go, they're doing almost 20 subjects, but you find in the long run, you can only be able to be tested with the few that is 8. So for them, they wanted to offload the burden that the students were carrying. I remember even one of the commissioners saying the children, they have started working with a bag. Why? Because they are carrying so many books. They are carrying stones to go and construct in the school, and they said this was to be done away with. So under the Kamunge Commission, they changed again the system of education whereby they reduced the subject which were taught in school. And in 2002, another one was formed, we call it the COEG Commission, and this one now aimed at integrating the disabled people in the system. You find in most of them, in the early days, they had to set aside schools for disabled, schools for the blind, schools for those people with disabilities and the like. But they say they are human beings. They also need to be done on to be integrated with others. So for them, they came up with the integration of education, whereby you integrate all the children in one school. Only that, you have to know how to handle different categories of students. So all these commissions, they aimed at making the education system in our country more better and more accommodative. This led to the also establishment and expansion of education from nursery to the university level. The other development is Harambee Institute of Technology were also established to equip secondary school leavers with the skills to enable them to secure employment, whereby we have so many institutions that were formed of technology. That's how we started Nairobi Polytechnic, Mombasa Polytechnic, and the others. Other training colleges were also opened up together with the Polytechnic. So you find colleges were set up in almost every region, so that those Form 4 leavers, they can be able to be accommodated, because the universities that they were there by then, they were not enough. So the Inspectorate and Kenya Institute of Education was also established, and the Kenya National Examination Council together with the Kenya Literature Bureau, they were established. What were they to deal with? If you look at the Kenya Institute of Education, it is the one which gives out the curriculum to be used. The Kenya National Examination Council, they deal with giving of the exams to the students from primary. When you go to some of the colleges, like the teaching colleges, they are given the exam by the NEC, and also high school. And then the Kenya Literature Bureau was given the mandate to publish books that they are rightful for all students to read in the country. So adult education programs were also established. Remember, during the colonial period, most of the people, they did not go to school, and therefore they needed to be equipped with skills and also knowledge, and therefore they started adult education. And this one, I think, is even going on even today, whereby you are still working and you can still go back to school and continue learning. In 1974, free primary education was implemented, whereby it was now mandatory for all children to be taken and acquire the primary education. Between 1985, the 844 system, I've said about it, under the Mackay Commission, was established and was brought to effect. So the cost sharing strategy also started due to the expansion of in education, whereby they said that we cannot leave the whole burden to the government. And that's why you find today in Kenya, if you go to some areas, there are so many primary schools, while others you find one primary school, you have to walk 10 kilometers to get one. Why? Because that community depended on the literature that was given by the government, and they were not ready to initiate or start their own schools under this statement of cost sharing. Here is whereby maybe the government employed the teachers, but the community around that area, it was their responsibility to build schools. If you come to the coast region, this where education, I think, up to date is still very low. Why? Majority of those communities, they did not embrace education, and therefore they did not build those community schools. But the government was ready to give them, the books, was ready to give them the teachers and other facilities. But it was them to come up with the building. In 2002, the NAC government introduced free primary education policy, and there was massive enrollment in the school. Why? During this cost sharing, most of the parents, they were also overburdened. You have children in primary school, you have others in secondary, you have others in university, and therefore sometimes it was not easy for them to take their young children to school at the right time because of the fee of the school fees. But from 2002, the government came up with a policy where it was now free primary education, that every parent was supposed to take his or her child to school. The university education has also expanded tremendously with 6 public universities by that time, but today I think every county must have a public university. That's why all the counties, they were funded to start the university, but at the independence, they managed to have 6 public universities and several other private universities. Now, there are so many challenges that education is facing in the country. One is high cost of education, whereby you find people, they cannot be able to afford education. You find those families whereby they are managed to educate everybody. We count them as the rich families. The other problem is frequent curriculum and policy change. For example, right now we are planning to change the curriculum, and I have children in class 5, 6, 7 who are using the books, and very soon those books will be null and void. What does that mean? It means that as a parent, I'm overburdened to go back to the market and buy new books because the curriculum changed now and again. The other problem is inadequate and inequitable distribution of education facilities. You find some areas they have a lot of facilities. I hear people complain that if you go to Central Province, there are so many universities there, they are well funded, they are doing very well. When you go to other areas, their university, even the lecturers, you find them once a year. Why? Because the government has not been able to equitably distribute the education facilities to all the sectors. The other days they were giving the laptop to the children, whereby they gave the tablet. You find some schools they don't even have one. Yet, you expect that student to compete with a student who has all the facilities. The other problem that has brought a big challenge to our country is HIV and AIDS, which has affected the overall performance of education sector in our country, whereby you find our teachers are dying because of HIV and AIDS, young children, young mothers leaving orphans, and those children sometimes they cannot be able to continue with education, especially where both parents are gone. So that's a pandemic and therefore it is affecting all the sectors of life. The other problem we have in our country is brain drain. Why brain drain? Here, I will work very hard to become a doctor. When I go to our hospitals here, the much they are paying me, in other countries they can give me triple or even 5 times what I'm getting. Why don't I go and sell my services there if they can pay me better? And therefore you find in our country we don't have people who are well educated, because majority of them, those who are well equipped, those who are well educated, they go and work in other countries. Now on the other side, we have health. We said health is the key thing, and if you have an unhealthy country, that way we cannot be able to move. So in our next lesson, I'm going to start here, where I'll be discussing health in the country and seeing what the government has done in order to improve the health sector in this country. Let's stop there.